There is a voice within you, quiet yet powerful, that has been waiting for your attention. It whispers, "Love me first." For too long, you have been conditioned to seek approval, applause, and affection from the world outside. But greatness does not come from pleasing others. It is born when a man or woman dares to love themselves without apology, without hesitation, and without condition. You were not placed on this earth to live at the mercy of opinions. You were designed to command your destiny. The moment you begin to honor your own mind, your own dreams, your own strength, you unlock the greatest power known to man, self-faith. Every empire, invention, and victory in history began when someone believed they were worthy of more. When you learn to love yourself more than anyone else, you stop begging for acceptance. You stop lowering your standards to fit small minds. You begin to attract opportunities, respect, and prosperity because the universe mirrors how you treat yourself. Love yourself enough to rise when you fall. Love yourself enough to say no when the world demands your yes. Love yourself enough to chase your purpose even when no one understands it. The truth is simple. You cannot give the world what you do not possess. Until you love yourself deeply, your love for others remains incomplete. Self-love is not vanity, it is victory. It is the engine of persistence, the seed of courage, and the foundation of success. So, stand tall, look into the mirror, and declare, "I am enough. I am powerful. I am worthy." For the one who learns to love themselves more than anyone else becomes unstoppable. Not because the world believes in them, but because they finally believe in themselves. There lies within every individual a master key, a power so vast and so divine that it determines the quality of every moment, every success, and every destiny. That key is self-love. It is not arrogance, it is not selfishness, and it is not pride. It is the deep, unwavering understanding that you are the foundation of every achievement, every relationship, and every victory that will ever unfold in your life. The world will try to convince you that your worth must be earned through others' approval. But the truth is that no amount of validation from the outside can ever replace the power that comes from within. Until you recognize your own value, no one else truly can. Every man and woman who has ever risen above mediocrity has done so by first discovering and unlocking the love and belief they held in themselves. They realized that the master key to abundance was not hidden in money, power, or reputation. It was buried deep in their own consciousness, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be used. To love yourself more than anyone else is to declare independence from doubt and fear. It is to say to the world, "I am my own source of strength." The individual who possesses this level of self-respect cannot be enslaved by opinions or circumstances. You may lose money, friends, or opportunities, but you can never lose the power that lives inside a mind that has learned to believe in its own worth. The one who loves themselves fully becomes unshakable because they no longer seek approval. They create it. They no longer chase success. They attract it. The moment you turn inward and affirm your value, you ignite a force that compels the universe to respond in your favor. The tragedy of so many lives is not that they fail, but that they never begin to believe in themselves. They live as reflections of other people's thoughts, chained by the illusion that their happiness depends on external acceptance. But when a person awakens to their own greatness, when they finally love who they are, they cease to ask for permission to shine. They begin to understand that their worth is not negotiable. The world bends to the individual who refuses to bend under the weight of insecurity. Loving yourself more than anyone else is not about comparison. It is about creation. You become the sculptor of your own destiny. Every time you honor your own vision, your own intuition, your own strength, you add another layer to the masterpiece of your life. The master key within you is unlocked through discipline, affirmation, and faith. Every morning that you rise and tell yourself, "I am capable," every moment that you choose confidence over fear, every decision that honors your dreams over your doubts, you are turning that key a little further. And with each turn, your potential expands, your spirit strengthens, and your reality transforms. The most powerful relationship you will ever have is the one you cultivate with yourself. For it is through self-love that you learn to rise when life tries to break you, to persevere when the odds stand against you, and to speak life into your vision when no one else sees it. Every great transformation begins in the mind that dares to believe it deserves more. Every success story begins with someone who refused to doubt their value. The master key within you is waiting for your touch, waiting for your recognition, waiting for your courage to claim it. When you finally learn to love yourself more than anyone else, you awaken a force that no rejection can silence, no failure can weaken, and no fear can destroy. For the person who loves themselves becomes the master of their fate and the architect of their destiny. There exists within every human being a silent power that can move mountains, rebuild broken dreams, and turn the impossible into reality. That power is inner faith. It is the invisible force that whispers to you when the world shouts doubt. It is the belief that no matter what stands against you, there is something greater within you that cannot be defeated. Inner faith is not built on what you see. It is built on what you know deep inside your soul. It is the conviction that you were not created to fail, that your mind was designed to conquer, and that your purpose has meaning far beyond your current struggles. Every invention, every revolution, every triumph known to mankind was born out of someone's faith in themselves when no one else believed. History has never been changed by those who doubted their strength, but by those who dared to trust it. The individual who possesses inner faith stands taller than fear because they no longer depend on conditions. They depend on conviction. Faith is the engine that powers vision. You can have intelligence. You can have resources. But without faith, your potential remains locked. Inner faith transforms hesitation into momentum and dreams into plans. It gives you the courage to begin when circumstances scream that you should quit. The one who cultivates faith within does not wait for evidence. They create it. They act not because they are certain of success, but because they are certain of their ability to find a way. Faith is not something you seek from others. It is something you grow in yourself through persistence, discipline, and daily victory over fear. When you tell yourself, I will rise, even when you are surrounded by defeat, you are exercising the most powerful muscle of the mind. Every great leader, thinker, and achiever who ever walked this earth has faced moments of doubt, but their faith stood as a fortress that could not be shaken by the storms of circumstance. The power of inner faith begins where logic ends. It does not argue with possibility, it commands it. It speaks life where others speak limits. It tells the wounded heart that healing is possible, tells the weary soul that rest will come, and tells the dreamer that the vision in their mind is already reality, waiting for persistence to reveal it. The individual who carries this kind of faith becomes unstoppable, not because the path becomes easier, but because their belief becomes stronger. Faith is the fire that turns weakness into willpower. It is the unseen hand that lifts you when no one else offers theirs. It is the constant reminder that the same force that created stars, oceans, and mountains also placed within you the power to create your destiny. When you learn to love yourself deeply, faith grows effortlessly. For self-love and faith are twins. They feed and strengthen one another. To love yourself is to believe in your potential, and to believe in your potential is to practice faith. Every time you choose to trust yourself instead of fear, you expand the boundaries of what is possible. Every time you rise after falling, you prove that faith within is stronger than doubt around. It is not the number of failures that determines your destiny. It is the strength of your faith that does. The world bows to those who refuse to surrender. to those who look within and say, I will not stop until I win. There will be days when everything seems against you, when progress feels invisible and hope seems lost. But those are the moments that shape your power. Those are the tests that separate those who wish from those who will. Faith turns trials into teachers and obstacles into opportunities. The one who stands firm in faith, who loves themselves enough to trust their path, becomes a living magnet for success. For life always rewards those who believe before they see. And the greatest victory of all is to realize that the power you were searching for has always been within you. There will always be voices that try to define you, voices that tell you what you can and cannot do, voices that echo their own fears and failures into your path and call it advice. These voices belong to the weak, the ones who surrendered their dreams and now wish to convince you to do the same. To live a life of power, you must learn to reject the opinions of the weak. Their words are not truth. They are projections of limitation. When you listen to the small-minded, you shrink your potential to fit their comfort. When you allow their doubts to take root in your spirit, you begin to question your purpose. The individual who seeks greatness must build an unbreakable wall of mental strength against such influence. The weak will always criticize the strong because your courage reminds them of their own surrender. The moment you understand this, their opinions lose power over you. The greatest tragedies in life are not caused by lack of talent or opportunity, but by the decision to listen to those who never tried. The weak disguise their fear as wisdom. They will tell you to be realistic, to slow down, to stop dreaming so big. But what they truly mean is, don't go where I was too afraid to go. Every time you obey that voice, you bury a piece of your potential. You begin to live a borrowed identity shaped by the failures of others. The path to mastery requires rebellion, not against others, but against conformity. You were not born to repeat the mistakes of those who quit. You were born to prove that strength lies in perseverance. Reject the opinions of the weak, not with anger, but with results. Let your success silence their noise. To love yourself more than anyone else is to protect your mind from the poison of doubt. Weak opinions can only harm the unguarded mind. The man or woman who knows their worth does not need applause to act, nor permission to begin. They do not measure their value through the lens of others' insecurities. They understand that criticism is the shadow cast by progress, and that light always attracts resistance. When you choose growth, you automatically challenge the comfort zones of others. And when you challenge comfort, expect resistance. The weak will whisper that you have changed, that you've become arrogant or unrealistic. But those are the words of those who fear your evolution. Every step toward your higher self is a step away from their approval. But the one who truly loves themselves no longer seeks approval. They seek alignment with their purpose. The world belongs to those who dare to think differently, to those who refuse to let fear-driven voices define their boundaries. You must learn to stand alone in your conviction, even when surrounded by doubt. You must learn to walk forward while others stand still. The weak will tell you to wait until conditions are perfect, but faith tells you to move and create perfection through action. The weak see risk as danger. The strong see risk as opportunity. The weak avoid failure. The strong use it as fuel. Every word spoken by the weak carries the vibration of limitation. Every thought born in a mind of strength carries the vibration of creation. Your responsibility is to decide which frequency you will live by. The moment you stop allowing the opinions of the weak to dictate your choices, you experience freedom. You begin to live as a creator, not a follower. You start to hear the voice of your own intuition more clearly because it is no longer drowned by noise. The world's most powerful people have all been doubted, ridiculed, and rejected, yet they persisted because they loved their vision more than they feared the criticism. To reject the opinions of the weak is to declare your independence from mediocrity. It is to say, I will not let another's fear determine my fate. And when you reach that state of certainty, you no longer move through life seeking validation. You move through life giving proof that strength lives in silence, that greatness grows in resistance, and that true power begins the moment you choose to believe in yourself more than anyone else. There is an unseen law that governs every success, every relationship, and every opportunity that enters your life. It is not luck, coincidence, or fate. It is the law of self-magnetism. This law states that you do not attract what you want, you attract what you are. Your outer world is a mirror reflecting your inner state of being. When you love yourself, believe in yourself, and act with unwavering conviction, the world bends in your favor. When you doubt yourself, the world echoes that doubt right back to you. The energy you carry within your thoughts, your emotions, and your self-image becomes a silent signal broadcast into the universe, drawing toward you people, events, and experiences that match that vibration. Every man and woman who has risen to greatness has done so by first mastering this inner frequency. They did not wait for circumstances to improve. They elevated themselves, and the world adjusted to their new vibration. The law of self-magnetism rewards the individual who takes full responsibility for their internal world. You cannot radiate power while feeding on self-pity. You cannot expect abundance while dwelling in fear. The universe is impartial. It simply returns to you the energy you consistently emit. This means that every time you choose confidence over doubt, gratitude over complaint, discipline over distraction, you are strengthening your magnetic field. You are tuning yourself to the frequency of success. You are declaring through action that you are ready to receive. People are drawn to those who know who they are because certainty is rare and irresistible. When you stand firm in your self-belief, others feel it. They sense that you are anchored in purpose and guided by something larger than approval. The individual who understands self-magnetism no longer begs for opportunities. They create them. They do not chase validation. They attract respect. They do not compete. They simply rise, and their energy makes room for them at tables once considered unreachable. The weak will call it luck, but it is not luck. It is alignment. When your inner world is clear, your outer world becomes cooperative. The law of self-magnetism makes no exceptions. If you vibrate with self-doubt, you will attract relationships that confirm it. If you radiate self-love, you will draw experiences that expand it. You are both the magnet and the metal, both the sender and the receiver. Life is not happening to you. It is responding to you. To love yourself more than anyone else is to master the art of alignment. It means to hold a mental picture of your highest self until it becomes reality. Every thought you allow, every emotion you nurture, every belief you repeat is shaping the signal you send to life. That is why you must guard your mind as fiercely as a king guards his crown. Negative thinking weakens your magnetic field. Self-belief strengthens it. You cannot attract wealth while believing you are undeserving. You cannot attract love while feeling unworthy. You cannot attract peace while living in internal conflict. Your frequency determines your future, and your self-image determines your frequency. The stronger your faith in yourself, the stronger your pull on all that is good and abundant. The greatest power you will ever possess is the ability to direct your own energy. The moment you decide to think in harmony with success, you begin to magnetize success. The moment you begin to feel deserving of greatness, greatness begins its journey toward you. This is not mysticism. It is mental science. Your thoughts are forces. Your emotions are currents. Your belief is the conductor. When these are aligned, the world must respond. The law of self-magnetism is constant and fair. It does not choose favorites. It mirrors truth. And the truth is simple. When you love yourself, you radiate power. When you believe in yourself, you radiate confidence. When you act on your vision, you radiate purpose. These three combined create a field so strong that no rejection can repel it and no obstacle can resist it. For the mind that has mastered self-magnetism has mastered the art of creating destiny. There is a battle that every human being must face, a battle not against the world, not against others, but against the silent enemy that lives within. This enemy wears many disguises: fear, doubt, insecurity, guilt, and hesitation. It speaks in whispers that question your worth, that make you second-guess your dreams, that convince you to remain where it is safe, rather than step into where you belong. To conquer the enemy within is to win the only war that truly matters, for no external obstacle can destroy the man or woman who has mastered their own mind. The greatest victories in life are not won on fields of competition, but in the private moments when you refuse to let fear make your decisions. The most dangerous opponent you will ever face is not the critic who mocks you, but the voice that says you are not enough. Every failure in life begins with surrender to this inner enemy. It convinces you that you cannot, and the moment you agree, you have already lost. But the truth is, this enemy only exists when you feed it. It thrives on your self-doubt, it grows through your hesitation, and it weakens every time you choose faith. The mind that conquers fear becomes unstoppable, for it no longer hesitates, it acts. The moment you decide to trust your power more than your insecurity, you begin to shift your destiny. Life bends for those who refuse to be defeated from within. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can control your response. You can choose strength over panic, persistence over retreat, and faith over worry. Each choice is a victory, and every victory over yourself strengthens the armor of your spirit. To love yourself more than anyone else is to stand guard at the gates of your mind. It means recognizing that not every thought deserves your belief. You must become the master of your inner dialogue, for words spoken in silence are the seeds of your reality. The mind left untrained becomes the perfect weapon of self-destruction, but the mind disciplined through self-love becomes the greatest ally of success. When you begin to see fear not as a warning, but as a signal to move forward, you shift from survival to mastery. Fear loses its grip when you act in spite of it. Doubt dissolves when you move anyway. Every act of courage diminishes the power of the inner enemy until one day it falls silent, not because it disappeared, but because you rose above its reach. You are not your fears. You are the awareness that observes them. You are not your past. You are the power that can transform it. The enemy within will try to convince you that your mistakes define you, but the truth is that every mistake is simply evidence that you dared to try. The one who keeps moving forward even with trembling hands, even with uncertainty, is already winning. The strength you are seeking does not come from avoiding struggle. It comes from walking through it with faith that you will rise. Every time you silence a negative thought, you sharpen the blade of your will. Every time you replace self-criticism with self-belief, you reclaim another piece of your freedom. The enemy within cannot survive in the light of awareness, and awareness grows through daily acts of love, discipline, and persistence. The mind can be your master or your servant, your prison or your power. You decide. The weak allow their thoughts to control them. The strong command their thoughts to serve their purpose. You were not born to be at war with yourself. You were born to rise beyond the limitations you inherited. Conquering the enemy within does not mean never feeling fear. It means refusing to let fear dictate your destiny. It means choosing vision over emotion, action over hesitation, love over self-criticism. The moment you declare that you will no longer be ruled by the weaker voice inside, you reclaim your throne as the creator of your fate. And when you reach that state of mastery, nothing outside of you can break you, for you have already defeated the only enemy that ever truly could. There comes a time in every person's life when they must decide whether to be ruled by impulse or guided by intention. That decision determines everything that follows, for the one who masters themselves masters their destiny. Self-mastery is not about control over others. It is about command over your own mind, emotions, and actions. It is the art of directing your energy toward purpose instead of distraction. The weak man reacts, the strong man responds. The undisciplined mind is a storm of confusion, but the disciplined mind becomes a compass that points unfailingly toward achievement. Every dream, every goal, every triumph depends on one question: can you rule yourself before you try to rule the world? The reward of self-mastery is freedom. The freedom to choose your thoughts, your focus, your direction, and ultimately your destiny. To love yourself more than anyone else is to commit to your own evolution. It is to realize that your power lies not in controlling circumstances, but in controlling your response to them. Every time you choose patience over anger, focus over temptation, courage over fear, you are shaping yourself into a force the world cannot shake. The individual who possesses self-mastery cannot be manipulated by failure or intoxicated by success. They walk through life with a quiet strength that cannot be disturbed because they have conquered the battlefield within. They understand that real power does not shout. It moves silently, consistently, with purpose. It is built through discipline, focus, and the unyielding decision to stay loyal to your higher self, even when your emotions beg you to quit. The man who has mastered himself no longer seeks motivation. He lives by principle. He does not wait to feel ready. He acts because his standard demands it. The woman who has mastered herself does not chase validation. She validates herself through action. Self-mastery transforms your relationship with life because it eliminates the chaos of contradiction. You no longer move in circles of confusion. You move in straight lines of intention. Every act becomes deliberate. Every word becomes aligned. Every decision becomes a reflection of purpose rather than emotion. When you reach this level of control, you begin to realize that success was never about luck. It was about consistency. The weak crave comfort. The strong crave growth. And the reward of that growth is peace. The peace of knowing that nothing outside of you has the power to disturb what you have built inside. The journey to self-mastery is not easy because it requires sacrifice. It demands that you let go of excuses, that you confront your weaknesses without denial, that you replace reaction with reflection. You must learn to delay gratification, to stay silent when anger rises, to persist when fatigue tempts surrender. Each act of restraint strengthens your character, and every victory over impulse adds another brick to the fortress of your will. The one who conquers themselves earns a strength that cannot be given and cannot be taken. It is not measured in possessions, but in presence, the ability to remain centered when the world around you shakes. That is the essence of true power. When you master yourself, you stop being a slave to emotion and become the architect of your evolution. You no longer chase what fades, you attract what endures. You move with calm certainty, not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. The storms that once frightened you now serve as tests that prove your strength. You discover that happiness is not in things, but in the control you hold over your own state of mind. You begin to live with clarity, purpose, and an unshakable sense of direction. The reward of self-mastery is not only success, it is sovereignty over your own spirit. It is waking each day knowing that you are no longer at war with yourself. You have become the commander of your destiny, the ruler of your emotions, and the master of your fate. And there is no reward greater than that.